what a lovely little project this one is. It might just look like a regular cube box, but actually when it opens inside, you have all of these different drawers. It makes a wonderful gift box to put jewellery or chocolates in, especially at Christmas time. Now, to start off with, I'm going to start by making the actual inner drawers. So you'd need to make 4 of these. And if I bring in the ultimate, we're going to start with cardstock, which is cut to 5.5 inches square. And we're going to score them on the box base side. And we're going to score them at 1 inch. Okay, so we're going to score them on the second line. And then, just as I've shown you many times, you would fold and burnish these, cut out the corners and assemble this together, and you end up with one of these little boxes here like this. Now, like I said, you need to do 4 of these for the different drawers. So I've got my 4 boxes here, all absolutely identical. And we're going to pop them to one side while we make the wrap, okay? Now, for the wrap, you need 2 sheets of cardstock, okay? These both come from a regular sheet of 12 by 12. You're going to trim them down first of all to be 11.5 inches. So it's 11.5 inches this way. And then one of them is 11 inches long and the other one is 7.5 inches long, okay? So, but they are 11.5 inches one side. So if we start with the bigger one, where the 11.5 inches part is, you're going to rest up against box lid and just score down the very, very first score line. So because the card's longer than the ultimate, I'm just rolling as we go, okay? And then I'm going to fold that over. I'm going to crease the line, burnish the crease inside out, and put the crease line back up against the buttoning edge again. And then what we're going to do is we're going to score the last line, so the 7th line. And because these are every 1/2 inch, this is at 3.5 inches, okay? So we're going to score at 3.5 inches, turn right around, score the opposite side, 3.5 inches on line 7, and then score the opposite 2 sides again on line 7. So we're coming along here. So it's just like when we make the bonbon box, you're scoring this into equal panels all the way around. Okay, so that is the base one. Now what we need to do is we're going to cut along some of the diagonals. So let me show you first of all. I'm going to do a couple of cuts first. I'm going to cut out, it might be easier for you to see if I cut out this full corner. Don't worry about being too accurate because we're going to neaten up this cut line. So I'm going to cut out both of these 2 corners here. Right, so then on the edge that's left, and I'll do the same in these corners. When you're making this at home, actually, once you've made this a few times, you probably won't bother doing this stage. I'm just doing this so that you can see really easily through the camera exactly what I'm doing. Right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to put the diagonals on across here like this. So the easiest thing to do, which is why I've cut this off, is we're going to score from the edge of this diagonal to the edge of this one. So we're going to score along here and then cut off the score line and do the same here, drawing that score line, and then we can cut away the edges. So we're doing that top and bottom. And with the scissors, remember when you're using the score line as a measurement, if you're going to cut, you're going to cut right up the centre part of the score line. And it's worth getting it neat here. I'm quite confident with the scissors, so I often cut with scissors. If you're not so confident, what I would say is use a metal-edged, steel-edged ruler and a good sharp knife. And you can do these with a craft knife. Okay, so this is 1/2 of the box. And we're also going to cut right up the centre point here. And actually what you might find a little bit easier for when you're gluing this together is if you cut the score line off all together. So I'm just going to cut down the side of the score line so that you can see you end up with just a little break there. I'll do the same on the other side. We're just cutting both to the left side within the score line and the right side, and then cutting it away all together. So that's one half. Now put that to one side. Bring in your 7.5 inches wide. The reason we've got the half is we're going to just put that little score line in first. Okay, and as we did before, we're just folding, burnishing the crease line. Then we're going to go on line 7, which should be the halfway point, and then turn it round and do line 7 on both the top and bottom. And remember, we're always using box lid. Okay, now just as we did before, we're going to cut out these sections here and then put in the diagonal score lines. And then you continue with the cutting just as we did for the very first panel. So we're cutting these off and cutting up the central part of the triangles. Now, before we glue it all together, as you should with always, we're going to burnish all of those crease lines. So we're going to have the nice, strong score line. So always folding away from yourself, away from where you've got the score line in place, and running the tool over the edge. So there's our smaller panel. And then here is the larger panel. Now, to attach them together, you take the first panel like this, just one score line there on this. That is our back panel, which is going to act as the connector onto here. So you can see we should end up with our 2 flaps on the 2 outside pieces. So just pop your glue into there. And then very carefully line these up. Making sure they're lined up on the back there. Now you can see how this comes together. These 2 here are going to connect together, the same at the top and bottom. So all we're going to do is pop tape, or again a wet glue would be a good option here, and stick the 2 of these together. And these flaps on the side are literally just to neaten off this end here. So the last stage that you do is to take each of these, put a little bit of glue on and stick them in place. And it just gives that much more professional finish to the edge of your project. So you can see this is how the whole wrap and the closure work together. Now to position your drawers in, what you do is always start with the top and the bottom. So the bottom is going to go in here and the top is going to go in here, or vice versa. The top goes into there and the bottom goes here, but they are at opposite corners. So again, all I'm going to do is put tape on the bottom corner and the two sides which I know are going to stick inside. And position that first one in. Now if you're not confident with your sticking and you get it wrong in the first place like I did there, just use a wet glue instead, and that will give you much more manoeuvrability time. With the top one, obviously we don't have the base to stick in place, so you're just putting adhesive on two of the sides and holding those into place right in the very, very top of your box. And then your other two, you're just going to manoeuvre so that they're at each side of each other. So don't stick them in to start with. What you're going to do is just look at where they're going to line up. So you're looking straight downwards to check that they're all in place. And again, tape onto two of the sides. And I find it easier to use the super strong tape because that way I don't have to wait for any adhesive to dry. What you do need to make sure is that your boxes aren't going to catch on each other when they close, so just do them one at a time. And then you should find that these will literally roll closed perfectly into place. And once you've manoeuvred them into place, if I just bring back the one that I've done in a decorative cardstock, and this is literally just one of our pre-patterned cardstocks, and you can see how it just rolls together. And as long as you make sure those the different layers aren't catching as you put them together, the drawers will fit together perfectly. And that makes a fantastic gift box project.